Part 1. Introduction to Grammar. Hi, I am Ariel, and today I am going to talk about how to learn grammar. Grammar is the foundation of every language, and learning it will help you speak, write, and understand English more clearly. It's like the rules of the game. Once you know them, you can play smoothly. Today, we'll explore the basics of grammar and why it's so important to your English journey. Let me ask you, have you ever tried to say something, but the words just didn't come out right? That's because grammar gives us the structure to express ourselves correctly. Without grammar, our words would be a little messy. But don't worry. Learning grammar can be fun and easy if you take it step by step. What is grammar? Grammar is the set of rules that tells us how to arrange words so they make sense. Just like building a house, you need a strong structure. Grammar is that structure. It helps us make sentences that are clear and understandable. For example, if I say, "The cat is on the mat," you understand that the cat is sitting on top of the mat. But if I said, "Mat the on is cat the," it wouldn't make any sense, right? That's why grammar matters. Why is grammar important in learning English? Grammar is what makes language logical. When you learn grammar, you learn how to form correct sentences. This means people will understand you better when you speak or write. Imagine you want to talk to someone in English, but your sentences are unclear. They might not understand what you're saying. With good grammar, your communication will be smooth and confident. As Richard Chenevix Trench said, "Grammar is the logic of speech, even as logic is the grammar of reason." This means grammar helps our words make sense, just like logic helps our thoughts make sense. How do you learn grammar? Start with the basics. The first step is to learn sentence structure, how words are arranged to form a proper sentence. Then, focus on learning the parts of speech, nouns, verbs, adjectives, and more. These are the building blocks of language, just like bricks are to a house. If you know how to use them, you can build strong sentences. One great technique is shadowing. This means listening to someone speak English, like in my videos on thestoryspeak.online, and repeating what they say. Try to copy their grammar and sentence structure. The more you practice, the better you'll get. Techniques for learning grammar. Start simple. Begin with basic sentences like, "I am a student," or "The dog is happy." Practice speaking. Use the sentences you learn in real conversations. Listen and repeat. Shadow speakers and repeat their sentences out loud. Read daily. Read simple English books or articles to see how grammar is used in context. Write short sentences. Practice writing simple sentences every day. Remember, grammar is not just about rules. It's about communicating clearly. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. Why you should keep going. Learning grammar might seem difficult at first, but with every new sentence you form, you'll feel more confident. It's like riding a bike. It's wobbly at first, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be off and running. Let's make learning grammar an exciting journey. With each step, you'll get closer to speaking and writing English like a pro. What's the hardest part of grammar for you? Is it forming sentences or understanding verbs? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll make sure to include tips in the upcoming parts of this series to help you out. Part 2. Understanding Parts of Speech. Welcome back. I'm Ariel, and today we're going to dive into one of the most important parts of learning grammar, parts of speech. These are like the building blocks of any language, and understanding them will help you create perfect sentences. Ready to learn? Let's go. What are parts of speech? In English, every word has a specific job. Just like how every person in a team has a role to play, words in a sentence do too. These roles are called parts of speech. There are 8 parts of speech that you need to know: nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, pronouns, prepositions, conjunctions, interjections. 1. Nouns. The names of things. A noun is a word that names a person, place, thing, or idea. For example, in the sentence, "The cat is sleeping," cat is a noun because it names an animal. Nouns are everywhere. Think of your own name. That's a noun too. 2. Verbs, the action words. A verb is a word that shows action. It tells us what someone or something is doing. For example, in "The cat is sleeping," sleeping is the verb because it shows what the cat is doing. Without verbs, we wouldn't know what's happening. 3. Adjectives. Describing words. Adjectives are words that describe nouns. They tell us more about people, places, or things. For example, "The happy cat is sleeping." Here, happy is the adjective because it describes the cat. 4. Adverbs. How actions happen. Adverbs describe verbs. They tell us how, when, or where something happens. For example, "The cat is sleeping peacefully." Here, peacefully is the adverb because it tells us how the cat is sleeping. 5. Pronouns. The replacements. Pronouns replace nouns. Instead of saying "the cat is sleeping," we can say "it is sleeping." Pronouns like he, she, it, we, and they make our sentences smoother and less repetitive. 6. Prepositions, position words. Prepositions show the relationship between a noun and another word. For example, in "The cat is on the mat," on is the preposition because it shows the relationship between the cat and the mat. 7. Conjunctions, connecting words. Conjunctions are words like and, but, and, or that connect ideas or sentences. For example, "The cat is sleeping and the dog is playing." The word "and" connects 2 ideas together. 8. Interjections, expressing feelings. Interjections are short words that show strong emotions or reactions. Words like "wow," "oh," "ouch" are interjections. They're usually found at the beginning of a sentence to express excitement or surprise. Why are parts of speech important? Understanding parts of speech is essential because they help you build correct sentences. Imagine trying to speak English without knowing what nouns or verbs are. It would be confusing. Knowing the role of each word in a sentence makes communication easier and clearer. As David Wilkins once said, "Without grammar, very little can be conveyed. Without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed." This means that while vocabulary gives you the words, grammar, including parts of speech, tells you how to use them properly. How to master. Parts of speech. Now that you know the parts of speech, it's time to practice. Here are some techniques to help you. Label the words. When you read a sentence, try to identify which word is the noun, verb, adjective, etc. For example, take the sentence, "The happy cat quickly runs outside." Noun, cat adjective. Happy verb, runs. Adverb, quickly preposition, outside. Doing this will train your brain to see the structure of sentences. Make sentences using all parts of speech. Challenge yourself. Try to make a sentence using all 8 parts of speech. For example, wow. The dog quickly runs under the big tree and he is very happy. Wow. Interjection dog. Noun quickly. Adverb runs, verb under. Preposition big, adjective, and conjunction. He, pronoun shadowing. Technique. Listen to conversations or podcasts in English, then repeat them. Pay attention to how parts of speech are used in real conversations. You can use videos on thestryspeak.online to practice shadowing with correct sentence structures. Daily practice. Start small. Write simple sentences every day, focusing on one part of speech at a time. For example, one day practice using different nouns. The next day, focus on verbs. Slowly, you'll get better. Now that you've learned the 8 parts of speech, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, try writing a sentence that uses all 8 parts of speech. Don't worry if it's not perfect. That's how we learn. Part 3. Tenses and how to master them. Welcome back. I'm Ariel, and today we're going to talk about one of the most important grammar concepts in English: tenses. Tenses are the tools we use to talk about the past, present, and future. Without tenses, we wouldn't know when something is happening, so they're super important to master. Let's dive right in. What are tenses? In English, tenses tell us when something happens. Did it happen in the past? Is it happening now? Or will it happen in the future? These are the basic questions tenses answer. Learning how to use tenses properly will help you express yourself clearly in English, no matter what you're talking about. There are 3 main tenses in English. Present tense. This is used when something is happening right now. For example, I am eating. Past tense. This is used when something happened before now. For example, I ate. Future tense. This is used when something will happen later. For example, I will eat. Each of these tenses has more forms, but we'll start with these basics to keep it simple for now. Why are tenses so important? Imagine trying to tell someone a story about what happened yesterday, but you use the wrong tense. They might get confused and think it's happening right now or will happen in the future. That's why understanding tenses is key to clear communication. As Confucius said, "A man who reviews the old so as to find out the new is qualified to teach others." Learning the different tenses helps you reflect on the past, speak clearly about the present, and plan for the future, all through the right words. Present tense, talking about now. The present tense is used for things that are happening right now or are generally true. Let's look at a few examples. Simple present, used for things that happen regularly or are always true. Example: I eat breakfast every day. Tip: use the simple present for routines and facts. Present: continuous, used for things that are happening right now. Example: I am eating breakfast. Tip: use this when you want to talk about something happening at the moment. Present perfect, used for things that started in the past but are still true now. Example: I have eaten breakfast. Tip: use this when the action has some connection to the present. Past tense, talking about yesterday. The past tense helps us talk about things that have already happened. Here are some examples. Simple past, used for actions that are completed. Example: I ate breakfast yesterday. Tip: this is the basic form for telling stories or recounting past events. Past continuous, used for actions that were happening at a certain time in the past. Example: I was eating breakfast when you called. Tip: use this when talking about something that was happening for a while in the past. Past perfect, used for actions that happened before another action in the past. Example: I had eaten breakfast before I left for school. Tip: this is useful for talking about what happened first in a sequence of past events. Future tense, talking about tomorrow. Finally, the future tense lets us talk about what will happen. Here's how it works. Simple future, used for things that will happen later. Example: I will eat breakfast tomorrow. Tip: use this for future plans or predictions. Future continuous, used for actions that will be happening at a specific time in the future. Example: I will be eating breakfast at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Tip: this is for ongoing actions that will take place in the future. Future. Perfect, used for actions that will be completed before a certain time in the future. Example: I will have eaten breakfast by the time you arrive. Tip: this is good for talking about actions that will be finished before another future event. How to master tenses. Here are some simple techniques to help you master tenses. Practice writing. Every day, write 3 sentences, one in the present, one in the past, and one in the future. This will help you see the difference between the tenses. For example, present: I eat dinner. Past: I ate dinner. Future: I will eat dinner. Watch and listen. Pay attention to how tenses are used in real conversations, shows, or podcasts. When someone is talking about something they're doing right now, what tense do they use? When they talk about the past, which tense comes up? You can practice with videos on thestoryspeak.online to listen to examples of tenses in real-life conversations. Ask and answer questions. When you're practicing English, try asking and answering questions in different tenses. For example, present: what are you doing? Past: what did you do yesterday? Future: what will you do tomorrow? Use shadowing. Repeat sentences after native speakers, focusing on how they use tenses. This will help you get used to how tenses work in conversation. You can find great shadowing exercises on thestoryspeak.online to improve your grammar. Your turn. Now that you know the basics of tenses, I want you to try something. Write 3 sentences in the comments. one in the present tense, one in the past tense, and one in the future tense. Let's see how you apply what you've learned. Remember, practicing tenses is key to speaking English fluently. It might feel tricky at first, but keep at it, and soon you'll be able to talk about the past, present, and future with ease. Part 4. Sentence Structure and Punctuation. Today, we're going to talk about two very important aspects of grammar: sentence structure and punctuation. These are the keys to making your writing and speaking clear, smooth, and easy to understand. Are you ready? Let's get started. Why sentence structure matters. When we speak or write in English, we don't just throw words together in any random order. We need to organize them in a way that makes sense. That's where sentence structure comes in. Think of sentence structure as the blueprint that tells us how to arrange words in a meaningful way. Without proper sentence structure, your ideas might be unclear, and people might not understand what you're trying to say. For example, correct: the cat is sleeping on the bed. Incorrect: sleeping the cat on bed is. In the first sentence, you understand exactly what's happening because the words are in the right order. The second sentence, however, is confusing because the structure is all wrong. Basic sentence structures. There are three main types of sentence structures that you need to know. Simple sentences. A simple sentence has one independent clause, which means it has a subject, who or what the sentence is about, and a verb, what the subject is doing. For example, the cat sleeps. I study English every day. These sentences are short but complete, and they get the point across clearly. Compound sentences. A compound sentence joins two simple sentences together with a conjunction like and but or. For example, I study English every day and I practice speaking with my friends. The cat is sleeping, but the dog is playing. Compound sentences let you connect ideas and make your writing more interesting. Complex sentences. A complex sentence has one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses. A dependent clause is a part of a sentence that can't stand alone. It needs more information. For example, when I study English, I feel more confident. Because it's raining, we can't go outside. Complex sentences help you express more detailed ideas and show the relationship between different actions or events. Punctuation. The silent guide. Punctuation is just as important as sentence structure. It tells us where to pause, stop, or show excitement. Imagine trying to read a long sentence with no commas or periods. You'd get lost quickly. Let's look at the most common punctuation marks. Period. The period tells us where a sentence ends. It's the full stop that lets the reader or listener know the thought is complete. For example, I love learning English. Comma. The comma is like a pause. It helps separate ideas and make sentences clearer. For example, when I learn grammar, I practice every day. Without the comma, the sentence would be hard to follow. When I learn grammar, I practice every day. Question mark. This is used at the end of a question. For example, do you practice speaking English? Exclamation mark. This shows strong emotion or excitement. For example, "Wow, you're improving so quickly." Apostrophe. Apostrophes are used to show possession or to make contractions. For example, "It's raining outside." Contraction for "it is." "The dog's toy is missing." Shows possession. Quote by Molière, "Grammar, which knows how to control even kings." This quote reminds us that knowing how to use grammar correctly, especially punctuation and sentence structure, gives us the power to communicate clearly and effectively. How to master sentence structure and punctuation. Read aloud. When you read a sentence aloud, you'll naturally pause where punctuation marks are needed. This can help you get a feel for where to use periods, commas, and question marks. Practice writing. Start by writing simple sentences and gradually move on to compound and complex sentences. Focus on using correct punctuation. For example, simple, "I study." Compound, "I study and I write notes." Complex, "When I study, I write notes so I can remember." Check your work. After you write something, go back and check your punctuation. Did you use a period at the end of each sentence? Did you use commas where they're needed? Use online resources. You can practice sentence structure and punctuation with quizzes and exercises available on thestoryspeak.online. Shadowing exercises on the website will also help you hear how sentences are structured and punctuated in real conversations. Example: sentences to practice. Simple, "She reads every day." Compound, "She reads every day and she takes notes on what she learns." Complex, "Because she reads every day, she is becoming better at English." Your turn. Now it's your turn. In the comments, try writing one simple sentence, one compound sentence, and one complex sentence. This will help you practice building sentences that are clear and correct. If you're unsure about punctuation or sentence structure, check out the videos on thestoryspeak.online for more guidance. You'll find helpful exercises and examples to sharpen your skills. Part 5. Common grammar mistakes and how to avoid them. We're going to talk about some of the most common grammar mistakes that beginners make, and more importantly, how you can avoid them. Don't worry. It's completely normal to make mistakes when learning a language, but with a little practice, you'll be able to spot and fix these errors quickly. Let's get started. Why do we make grammar mistakes? Before we dive into the specific mistakes, let's talk about why they happen. When we're learning a new language like English, we often translate directly from our native language, which can lead to errors. Other times, it's because we're not familiar with all the grammar rules yet. The good news? These mistakes are easy to fix once you know what to look for. As Michel de Montaigne once said, "The greater part of the world's troubles are due to questions of grammar." This is a reminder of how important it is to understand grammar, not just for speaking correctly, but for clear communication. Common grammar mistakes and how to fix them. Here are some of the most common mistakes that beginners make, and tips on how to avoid them. 1. Subject-verb agreement. The mistake: using the wrong verb form for the subject. For example, incorrect, he go to school every day. Correct, he goes to school every day. Why it happens. In English, the verb must agree with the subject. If the subject is singular, he, she, it, you need to add s to the verb in the present tense. How to avoid it. Always check if your subject is singular or plural. If it's singular, remember to use the singular form of the verb, usually with an s or an es. 2. Incorrect tense usage. The mistake, mixing up tenses. For example, incorrect. Yesterday I will go to the park. Correct. Yesterday I went to the park. Why it happens. Sometimes we forget to match the tense of the verb with the time we're talking about. If it's about the past, use past tense verbs. How to avoid it. Pay attention to time markers like yesterday, now, and tomorrow. They can help you decide which tense to use. 3. Missing articles, a and the. The mistake, leaving out articles where they are needed. For example, incorrect, I have dog. Correct, I have a dog. Why it happens. Some languages don't use articles, so it can be easy to forget them in English. How to avoid it. Remember to use a or an for singular countable nouns. Use the when talking about something specific. 4. Overuse of articles. The mistake. Using articles when they aren't needed. For example, incorrect, she is the teacher of English. Correct, she is an English teacher. Why it happens. Sometimes we think we need the or a for everything, but it depends on how specific or general the noun is. How to avoid it. Use the only when you're talking about something specific that both the speaker and listener know about. 5. Confusing prepositions. The mistake, using the wrong preposition. For example, incorrect, I'm waiting on the bus. Correct, I'm waiting for the bus. Why it happens. Prepositions can be tricky because they often don't translate directly from other languages. How to avoid it. The best way to learn prepositions is through practice. Focus on common phrases like wait for, listen to, or look at. 6. Double negatives. The mistake, using two negative words in a sentence. For example, incorrect, I don't have no money. Correct, I don't have any money. Why it happens. In English, using two negative words makes the sentence confusing. Instead of meaning, I have no money, it sounds like, I have money. How to avoid it. Use only one negative word in a sentence. For example, I don't have any, or I have no. 7. Incorrect word order. The mistake. Putting words in the wrong order. For example, incorrect, he always is late. Correct, he is always late. Why it happens. Different languages have different word orders, so we sometimes mix up the word order in English. How to avoid it. In English, the usual order is subject plus verb plus object. Adverbs like always or never usually go after the verb to be, am, is, are. 8. Not using the right pronoun. The mistake, using the wrong pronoun. For example, incorrect, me and him went to the store. Correct, he and I went to the store. Why it happens. We sometimes get confused about when to use I, me, he, him, etc. How to avoid it? If you're not sure, try saying the sentence with only one person. Would you say, me went to the store? No, you'd say, I went to the store. The same rule applies when adding other people. How to fix these mistakes? Practice, practice, practice. Now that you know some of the most common grammar mistakes, how do you avoid them? Here are a few tips to help you practice. Read aloud. When you read English, pay attention to how sentences are structured. Look for the correct use of articles, prepositions, and verb tenses. You can find useful examples in the videos on thestoryspeak.online. Write and review. Practice writing sentences in English and then check them for common mistakes. You can ask a friend, teacher, or even use online grammar checkers to help. Speak and listen. Try to practice speaking English every day. When you speak, you'll get better at using the right grammar automatically. You can also shadow videos on thestoryspeak.online to hear correct grammar in use. Ask for feedback. Don't be afraid to ask for help. In the comments below, share a sentence where you think you might be making a mistake, and I'll help you correct it. Now it's your turn to practice. In the comments, try writing one sentence that uses correct subject-verb agreement, the right article, and no grammar mistakes. I'll be checking and giving you feedback. Part 6. The Power of Practice. Exercises and Activities. Hi, I'm Ariel, and welcome back. Today we're going to explore one of the most important parts of learning grammar, practice. It's said that practice makes perfect, and when it comes to grammar, the more you practice, the more confident and fluent you will become. Let's jump in and learn how different exercises can help you master grammar. Why practice matters. Learning grammar is like building a muscle. The more you work on it, the stronger and better it gets. Simply knowing the rules of grammar isn't enough. You need to use them regularly. Practicing helps you. Remember the rules. When you practice grammar, it becomes second nature. You won't need to think about the rules when you're speaking or writing because they'll come naturally. Spot mistakes. The more you practice, the easier it will be to spot mistakes in your own writing and speech. Improve fluency. Practicing grammar helps you speak and write more smoothly, without hesitation. As the famous saying goes, practice makes perfect. Let's take a look at some exercises and activities you can use to practice and improve your grammar. 1. Fill in the blank exercises. Why it's useful. This is one of the best ways to focus on specific grammar rules. You'll get practice with things like verb tenses, prepositions, articles, and more. Example: I ate breakfast this morning. She are very happy. How to practice. You can find fill-in-the-blank exercises in English grammar books, online, or even create your own sentences. Try focusing on one grammar topic at a time, like tenses or articles. You can also check out similar exercises on thestoryspeak.online. 2. Rearrange the sentence. Why it's useful. This helps you understand sentence structure. It's a great way to practice word order and make sure your sentences are clear and grammatically correct. Example: going, am, I, to store. Correct sentence: I am going to the store. Likes/she/dogs/and/cats. Correct sentence: she likes dogs and cats. How to practice. Find scrambled sentences online or make your own by writing sentences and mixing up the word order. Try to unscramble the sentences and get the correct structure. This will train your brain to think in English sentence patterns. 3. Shadowing technique. Why it's useful. Shadowing helps you practice grammar in real time by repeating after native speakers. It's especially helpful for improving your speaking fluency and sentence structure. How to practice. Choose a video or podcast in English, like the ones available on thestoryspeak.online. Listen to a sentence or two, pause, and repeat what you heard. Try to copy the speaker's grammar, sentence structure, and pronunciation. This technique will help you practice grammar naturally, just as it's used in conversation. 4. Write short sentences. Every day. Why it's useful. Writing forces you to apply grammar rules. The more you write, the more familiar you'll become with sentence structure, tenses, and other grammar points. How to practice. Every day, write a few simple sentences. Focus on one grammar rule at a time. For example, today you might write sentences using the past tense, and tomorrow you might focus on prepositions. Example: past tense. Yesterday I walked to the park. Prepositions: the book is on the table. After you write your sentences, review them and check for any mistakes. If you're not sure about something, ask for help or use grammar tools online. 5. Grammar quizzes. Why it's useful. Quizzes are a fun way to test what you've learned. They can help you spot areas where you need more practice and show you which grammar rules you've mastered. How to practice. Take online grammar quizzes that focus on specific topics such as verb tenses, articles, or subject-verb agreement. The quizzes will give you instant feedback, so you'll know where you're doing well and where you need to improve. 6. Conversations with a focus on grammar. Why it's useful. When you practice grammar in conversations, you're putting it to use in real life. This helps make the rules stick. How to practice. Find a language partner or friend to practice with. Choose a grammar point to focus on during your conversation. For example, you could focus on using the present tense or practicing conditional sentences. If you don't have a partner, you can practice speaking to yourself or record your voice and listen back to check your grammar. You can also participate in conversations and activities based on the videos available on thestoryspeak.online for more practice. 7. Read, read, read. Why it's useful. Reading helps you see grammar in action. You can observe how sentences are structured, how tenses are used, and how punctuation is applied. The more you read, the better your grammar will become. How to practice. Read simple English books, articles, or blogs. Highlight sentences that you find interesting or useful. Pay attention to how grammar is used in each sentence. After reading, try to write a few sentences of your own using similar grammar structures. Example: if you read a sentence like, "She enjoys going to the beach," you can write a similar sentence. He enjoys playing soccer. Your turn. Now it's your turn to practice. In the comments, try one of the exercises we talked about today. You can write a sentence, complete a fill-in-the-blank exercise, or even share a sentence you heard in a conversation. I'll be here to help and give you feedback. Remember, regular practice is the key to improving your grammar. Don't forget to visit thestoryspeak.online for more exercises and practice videos. Part 7. Listening and Speaking, Applying Grammar in Conversation. Hi, I'm Ariel, and welcome back. Today we're going to explore how listening and speaking exercises can improve your grammar. Knowing the rules of grammar is one thing, but applying them in conversation is a whole new level of learning. Let's dive in and see how listening and speaking can help you use grammar naturally and confidently. Why listening and speaking are important for grammar. Listening and speaking are two key skills in learning any language. When you listen carefully, you can hear how grammar is used in real conversations. And when you speak, you put those grammar rules into action. The more you listen and speak, the more automatic correct grammar becomes. As Dr. Seuss once said, the more that you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. The same idea applies to listening and speaking. When you practice, you open up new doors to fluency. 1. Shadowing. Speaking along with native speakers. Why it works. Shadowing is a great technique where you listen to a sentence and then repeat it out loud, trying to mimic the speaker exactly. This helps you practice sentence structure, grammar, and pronunciation all at once. How to practice. Choose a video or podcast with simple English sentences. You can find helpful content for shadowing on thestoryspeak.online. Play a sentence, pause, and repeat it out loud. Focus on how the sentence is structured, where the verbs, subjects, and prepositions are placed. Repeat until you feel comfortable saying the sentence smoothly. Example: if the sentence is, I am going to the park, focus on the subject, I, the verb, am going, and the preposition, to the park. Repeat the sentence exactly as you hear it. 2. Active listening. Focusing on grammar in conversations. Why it works. Active listening means paying close attention to how people use grammar when they speak. This will help you understand sentence structures, tenses, and other grammar points in real-life conversations. How to practice. When you listen to English conversations, either in videos or podcasts, focus on the grammar. For example, if someone is telling a story about the past, notice how they use past tense verbs. Try to identify specific grammar patterns, such as present continuous, e.g., I am eating, or future tense, e.g., I will go. You can also practice active listening with videos on thestoryspeak.online, where native speakers use everyday grammar structures. Example: if someone says, I went to the store yesterday, focus on the past tense verb went. Notice how they talk about something that happened in the past and try to understand why they used that verb. Third, role-playing conversations. Why it works. Role-playing is a fun and effective way to practice speaking. By imagining different situations, you can practice using different types of grammar, from asking questions to giving answers, using the right tenses and structures. How to practice. Pick a scenario, e.g., ordering food at a restaurant, asking for directions, or talking about your day. Write down or think about what you would say in that situation. Focus on using correct grammar. Practice the conversation with a friend, language partner, or even by yourself. If you're practicing alone, say the sentences out loud as if you're really in the situation. Make sure you use the right verb, tenses, prepositions, and sentence structures. Example: in a role-playing conversation at a restaurant, I would like to order a sandwich, please. Correct use of would like for polite requests. Waiter, what kind of sandwich would you like? I'll have a chicken sandwich. 4. Speaking in everyday situations. Why it works. The best way to improve your grammar in speaking is to use it in real-life situations. Whether it's practicing with friends or speaking to yourself, the more you speak, the more you'll improve. How to practice. Talk to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing in simple sentences. For example, I am cooking dinner, or I will study English after lunch. If you have a friend or language partner, set up regular conversations where you only speak in English. Focus on using correct grammar, even if you're talking slowly at first. You can also participate in online discussions or leave voice messages in English to practice speaking and grammar. Example: if you're practicing by yourself, try saying, "Today, I am going to study grammar. Tomorrow, I will practice speaking." Notice how you switch from present continuous, am going, to future tense, will practice. 5. Listening to native speakers. Why it works. Listening to native speakers helps you hear how grammar is used naturally in conversation. You'll hear different verb tenses, sentence structures, and ways of asking questions. How to practice. Watch English videos or listen to podcasts that are designed for beginners. You can use videos from thestoryspeak.online for this. Pay attention to how native speakers ask questions, make statements, and describe actions. Listen for common sentence structures and note how they use different grammar points. Try to imitate what you hear by repeating the sentences out loud. Example: if you hear someone say, "I have been learning English for 2 years," notice that they're using the present, perfect continuous tense, have been learning, to describe an ongoing action that started in the past and continues in the present. Repeat the sentence and think about how you can use this tense in your own conversations. 6. Recording yourself. Speaking why it works. Recording yourself allows you to hear your own grammar mistakes and correct them. It also helps you track your progress over time. How to practice. Choose a topic to talk about. It could be something simple like what you did yesterday or your plans for the weekend. Record yourself speaking for a few minutes. Try to focus on using correct grammar, but don't worry if it's not perfect. Listen to the recording and note any mistakes. Do you mix up tenses? Are there sentences that don't sound quite right? Practice again and see if you can improve. Example: Record yourself talking about your daily routine. You might say, I wake up at 7 a.m., then I have breakfast. After that, I go to work. Listen to see if you're using the right verb tenses, present simple for routines, and correct any mistakes. Your turn. Now it's your turn to practice speaking and listening. In the comments, share a sentence you heard or practiced using one of the techniques we discussed today. Let's work together to improve your grammar. Remember, practice makes perfect, and speaking regularly will help you get comfortable using grammar correctly. Don't forget to check out more speaking and listening exercises on thestryspeak.online to keep improving. Part 8. Reviewing and Mastering Grammar Through Reading. Now we're going to talk about one of the most powerful tools for mastering grammar, reading. Reading not only improves your vocabulary and comprehension, but also helps you see how grammar is used in real-life contexts. By reading regularly, you can learn how sentences are formed, how tenses are used, and how grammar rules come together naturally. Let's dive in. Why reading is key to learning grammar. Reading allows you to absorb grammar naturally, just like a sponge. When you read, you're exposed to correct sentence structures, verb forms, prepositions, and punctuation. You get to see how native speakers write and communicate, and this helps you understand how to use grammar rules without always thinking about them. As Carl Sagan once said, to read is to voyage through time. Reading takes you on a journey, not only into stories, but also into the mechanics of language. How reading helps you master grammar context matters. When you see grammar rules in action, you understand them better. For example, learning about verb tenses is one thing, but seeing how tenses are used in a story will make it stick in your memory. Sentence structure. Reading helps you learn how sentences are built, including how simple, compound, and complex sentences work. You'll notice how writers use conjunctions like, and, but, and because to connect ideas smoothly. Punctuation in action. You'll also see how punctuation like commas, periods, question marks, and quotation marks are used. This will improve your writing and help you express your thoughts more clearly. Variety of grammar. You'll be exposed to different grammar rules, such as passive and active voice, conditionals, and modal verbs. The more you read, the more familiar these concepts will become. What to read for grammar practice. Choosing the right reading material is important for improving your grammar. Here's what you should look for. Simple English books. If you're just starting out, choose books that use simple language and straightforward sentence structures. Look for beginner-level novels, short stories, or articles. Children's books. These are great because they use basic grammar and vocabulary, making them easy to understand. You'll also see correct grammar in short, easy sentences. Online articles or blogs. Find articles on topics that interest you. Blogs and articles often use conversational English, so you'll learn grammar that is used in everyday speaking and writing. English learning websites. Sites like thestryspeak.online offer stories and podcasts specifically designed to help learners improve their grammar. These materials are written with language learners in mind, so they use simple but correct grammar structures. Techniques for learning grammar through reading. Highlight grammar rules. As you read, highlight examples of grammar that you want to learn. For example, if you're learning about past tense verbs, underline every sentence that uses the past tense. Create your own sentences. After reading, try to create your own sentences based on what you've learned. If you read a sentence like, "She walked to the store," practice writing similar sentences. "He walked to school," or "They walked to the park." Read aloud. Reading aloud helps you hear the grammar in action. It forces you to pay attention to sentence structures, punctuation, and word order. Plus, it gives you speaking practice at the same time. Summarize what you read. After you finish reading, try to summarize the main points in your own words. This will help you practice using correct grammar while reinforcing what you've just learned. Examples of how reading helps grammar. Verb tenses in stories. Let's say you're reading a story in the past tense. You'll notice that all the verbs are in their past form, like was, went, or said. This helps you see how past events are described in English. Example: yesterday she went to the park and met her friends. Prepositions in articles. When you read a blog post or an article, pay attention to how prepositions like in, on, and at are used. These small words make a big difference in grammar. Example: he lives in New York at 42nd Street. Conjunctions. In dialogue. If you're reading dialogue between two characters, notice how conjunctions like, and, but, and because are used to connect ideas. Example: I wanted to go to the party, but I had too much homework. Reading challenge. Here's a fun challenge for you. Find a short story or article in English and read it. As you read, underline examples of present tense verbs, past tense verbs, prepositions, conjunctions. Afterward, write down a few sentences that use the same grammar you found in the story. For example, if you found a sentence using the past tense, write a sentence of your own using the same verb tense. Share your sentences in the comments below. Additional reading resources. You can find great reading materials and stories specifically designed for language learners on thestoryspeak.online. These stories are written in simple English, making them perfect for practicing grammar while enjoying a good story. Your turn. Now it's time to put your reading skills into action. In the comments, share a sentence you read recently that helped you understand a grammar rule better. It could be a sentence that uses tenses, prepositions, or punctuation correctly. I'd love to see what you're reading. Reading is one of the best ways to improve your grammar, and I hope today's session has inspired you to pick up a book, article, or story to keep learning. This is the end of our grammar series. I hope these 8 parts have helped you feel more confident about learning grammar. Keep practicing, keep reading, and don't forget to check out more materials on thestoryspeak.online to continue improving your English skills. Thank you for joining me, and I can't wait to see how much you improve.